We got a jam-packed episode for the 20th installment of Nosebleed Radio. We first will start off by talking about our favorite number 20s, then we'll move on to some World Cup talk. We then talk to Dirk Chatelain of the Omaha World-Herald about some College World Series action going on. We talk a little bit more about it with the boys afterwards. We then move on to talk about the NBA offseason, and then wrap up with some NFL talk. Had a couple stories break late today, and round out with our final thoughts. So without further ado, let's roll the music.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
You're listening to Nosebleed Radio. Here's your host, Tucker Franklin.
Welcome to another episode of Nosebleed Radio, episode 20, Double Dime. I'm here with the boys, Kieran Brennan.
How's it going?
Toby Todd.
What's up?
And Shane Miller.
Hey, how's it going, Roll Hawks?
We'll start off with our famous number 20s, like we do every episode. Not number 20, though. KB, who's your first number 20?
I only have one number 20 today, and that's Mr. Lou Brock. That's a Cardinals great. Got his number retired. He was the best base stealer in the major leagues until Rickey Henderson broke the record, and that's a record that I don't think will be touched anytime soon. You know, base stealing is just not what it used to be. But he put up a great career for the Cardinals. He's one of the only players that I have in the major leagues that I liked who used to be a Cub. I usually don't like the Cubs. I don't like the Cubs. I hate the Cubs.
Hot take.
And he's super fast, and he just had his leg amputated. So now he's not quite as fast.
He's not super fast anymore, is he?
He's on his last leg, you would say.
And he's like 70, 80. He's old.
Age got the best of him. Shane.
Cancer
Shane.
did too.
But moving on, Shane, what's your famous number 20?
I've got two famous number 20s.
Oh.
The first one, the first one is Mike Winchell. You may know him as the quarterback from the famed Odessa Permian Panthers in the movie Friday Night Lights. Not the flashiest quarterback, but he did his talking on the field. You know, he wasn't like a Cam Newton, where he's going to be chatting all over the place off the field. But he was pretty solid QB. Plus, I love it when a quarterback wears number 20.
Yeah.
I think that's sweet.
Who was the
going
quarterback?
Outside the norm.
Hey, Toby, wasn't there a quarterback from Michigan who wore some wild number?
98.
Devin Gardner wore 98.
That's right, yeah. I don't know why he did that. He's not
It
eligible.
was because of a Heisman winner.
Tom Harmon. He was voted a Harmon representative for the team, so he got to wear 98.
And also, you can catch a pass at 98. You just can't be within the 50s to 70s.
That's dumb.
That's the rules, man.
Those are the rules of Sticky McSnickens.
You're right. My second number 20 is Dougie McBuckets. Doug McDermott from Creighton, although he wasn't number 20 until... Well, I'm going with the New York Knicks, Doug McDermott, because I like the
Knicks.
He's number 20 there.
The Knicks are in my final four.
Yeah, I like the Knicks.
Yeah, not in my final two, though.
There, I said it.
Take that for data.
Very topical, Kieran. Toby, I'm looking at this list here, and you've got yourself a sizable amount of your favorite number 20s.
Yeah, 20 is a dope number, and I got 5 of them, which adds up to 100, which is the type of effort all these guys give on the court and on the football field.
Wow.
Gordon Hayward and Ray Allen, 2 Celtic number 20s, 1 a future Celtics champion, 1 Celtics champion in 2008. I also have Josh Jackson, played at the University of Kansas. He was dope. He was my favorite Jayhawk. Hey, calm down now. He was my favorite Jayhawk on the team, not last season, but the season before. I also have Jalen Ramsey, who is maybe the best defensive back in football right now. Maybe.
Jacksonville.
And then there's Janoris Jenkins, and I felt we had to give him a shout-out here at the beginning of the video because he's got some stuff going on right now. But he's pretty good, and he's called the Jack Rabbit, which is also cool. But yeah, he's my other number 20. I hope things work out for him.
I used to like Janoris Jenkins.
Used to.
Oh, because of the thing that happened, it wasn't him. It was just in his house.
Wait, what happened?
Yeah, but that's tough
No,
to explain.
Because he used to play for the Rams. That's why I used to like him. But now I don't even like the Rams anymore.
Wow.
His
Yeah,
brother killed somebody?
Explain it.
Hey, settle down.
Explain it
He
to
was in
Shane.
Yeah, explain it to
yeah.
me.
So there was this, I guess he was like a producer or something. It was this guy living in Janoris Jenkins' house while Janoris was away. And I heard that his brother and this producer that was living at his house got into a little scrap.
There's beef.
And they're now thinking that there was death via strangulation from Janoris Jenkins' brother while Janoris was gone.
So it's like a Ray Lewis situation.
Yeah, except Janoris Jenkins had no idea until he got back, and then they were like, "Hey, why is there a body in your house?" And he's like, "I don't know."
Oh yeah.
Okay.
No.
How do you not know there's a bodies smell like shit after like 10 minutes?
Well, he
How
wasn't
do
at
you
his house
know?
when he found out.
I'm like, I
Oh,
had to
yeah,
smell when
that's
I was at an autopsy.
All right, fine.
Do you realize how long it takes you to strangle someone to death, though? Like,
Long time.
It-
Because they'll go
it's a-
unconscious for a little bit.
it takes a long time. That's why, like, whenever you, like, hung somebody, they would, like, snap their neck, and that's how they would die.
Kieran knows an
Hang
awful lot about
somebody.
strangulation.
Yeah, we read the Crucible, and then the doc.
I don't know.
All right, whatever.
Someone
But
check Kieran's
strangulation. I took him out.
A hot seat strangulation. What is that actually? What's actually the medical term for that?
Strangulation.
I don't think it's
Did it.
strangulation.
No, it's suffocation.
Auto.
No, because
Ben.
if choking is if there's something in your esophagus, like in your throat, and suffocation or strangulation is if it's an outside force outside of your esophagus blocking the airway. So if you like smother someone with a pillow, it's suffocation. If you grab them by the throat, it's strangulation.
What's asphyxiation?
Asphyxiation?
Yeah, what's that?
That's choke.
Oh, okay. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like
Shout
strangulation.
out,
I don't know.
shout out Razorbacks baseball.
Ooh. I just googled asphyxiation. It's the state of
I think
process of being deprived of oxygen.
Yeah, so I was right.
It's also suffocation is also what it's called.
Yeah,
Synonym.
I'm right. I'm right all
Is,
the time.
is suffocation different than strangulation? Because suffocation, I feel like that's putting something like over their
Yeah.
face, like a pillow. And it's
Strangulation is you grab them by the throat.
Yeah,
This is good sports podcasting.
I guess I'll talk about my number 20s if we're done talking about choking people.
I wasn't, but all right.
My first
Sure,
number
sure.
20 is Mike Schmidt. One of my favorite scenes in Always Sunny from Philadelphia is when Max says, "You know who Mike Schmidt is?" I'll insert that clip audio here.
Post pro, yeah.
Post pro right here. Oh.
That's not what it says on here, though.
Yeah, just read the script, Tucker.
My next
made the
number
script.
20 is Frank Robinson. Stud is in the Hall of Fame. He has his number retired for 3 different teams.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah. And then my third number 20 is the A's 20-game win streak they had in 2002. Moneyball.
Moneyball.
Hey, look, Ma, I made it.
Yep. So we'll go ahead and move on to our talking points. One of the big things going on in sports happens every 4 years is the World Cup.
Olympics. Oh, shit.
Olympics also happen. Do the Winter Olympics and World Cup match up every year?
Yes, because it'll be every 4 years.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Math, Tucker.
That's pretty neat.
That's pretty neat.
And so I'm finally on board with the World Cup. Last day of the group stage, I decided that I like this now. It took me a while to get over that America wasn't in it, but I hopped on the old Brasilia fan wagon. Not bandwagon, fan wagon.
There's plenty of America in it.
Yeah.
He took us South America.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brazil is America.
I think the best part about the World Cup, though, is the fans of soccer, because soccer fans, especially, like, not American soccer fans, are absolutely insane. It's incredible to watch. Like, did you see Brazil held a funeral for Germany since they didn't make it to the round of 16 or whatever? And then all the Mexican fans were literally parading around that Asian guy because the Koreans beat Germany to get Mexico to advance.
Yeah.
It was like the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. It was just like confused Asians sitting on the shoulders of a bunch of Mexicans wearing sombreros. It was awesome.
I'm pretty sure they put a sombrero on him, too.
No, he was just wearing like a red baseball hat. Like, just he was like a tourist in Mexico. I'm not even sure if he was Korean. They were just like, he looks Asian.
We'll go ahead and give our favorite team update. Kieran, do you want to tell us what happened to your favorite squad?
Well, they lost. Like, I think they lost a lot. I don't have cable, so it's tough to watch. So I'm in the process of picking a new team. I think I'm going to go with España, and then another Nordic team. So probably Sweden or Switzerland, just to cover my bases. Get a very diverse group of fanship.
Is that because you look Norse? Because you look very Norse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Zeus. No, not Zeus. Thor, I meant.
Yeah, whoa. Come on, man.
So last week we learned that the Ireland wasn't in the World Cup.
Nope.
So I didn't know that. Shane, I don't even know who Shane's favorite team is. I'll be honest with you.
I said last week that Mexico's up there as one of my favorites because they're repping North America right now. NA, as I like to call us. But so Mexico is one team. I also went Kieran Draw and picked another team as well as like a backup. So I'm going to go England. No real reason there. I know they're kind of good. And then they also have good rugby, so that was kind of my reason behind that. But I like their uniforms. They're pretty neat.
Toby is an England guy. I've known that because England is his city.
England is my city. They've been my second favorite international team behind the United States forever. I pretty much just go with wherever my family was from. So this World Cup, England obviously was my favorite team entering the tournament. I also like Germany and Senegal, who were both eliminated because my family is from both Germany and Senegal. And Russia now becomes my number 2 team, and they somehow advanced. They play Kieran Spain first, and yeah, I think the objective is to not lose by multiple goals.
Dude, my family got fucked in this World Cup. I'm German, Irish, and Italian. 2 of us didn't even get in.
Yeah, y'all suck.
That's what she said.
But
I'm with you.
2 of us didn't even get in.
Yeah, I'm German, Irish, and an honorary Salvadorian.
Honorary?
Who else didn't get in? Dude, I think I had a stroke. Just like.
Well, good thing Darling's going to be a nurse. Just have her check you out real quick.
I'm CPR certified now. Not a big deal, so I could save myself through someone else.
I'll go ahead and talk about my favorite team. That's fine. On the backs of Ronaldinho, Pele, and Neymar, Brazil made it to the knockout stage and will probably win the World Cup.
Only one of whom is actually playing right now.
How old is Pele?
I think Maradona is dead.
I'm pretty sure he's dead.
I think he died.
No, he's still alive. He's 77.
Okay, but he's definitely not in playing shape.
All right, fine. Ronaldinho is...
I forgot how big of a Pele fan you were when he was playing. I
Yeah.
can't believe I forgot about that.
Ronaldinho is 38. Wow.
And he's getting ready to get his 2 wives.
That is
in
very
August.
true.
Yeah, he has no time for sports right now.
You're a big Ronaldinho guy. Did you get an invitation to either one of those?
I didn't. I think it might have got caught in the mail, but it's okay. Does he?
You think since he's getting 2 wives, he gets 2 bachelor parties?
Oh yeah.
I think a bachelor party is like, bachelor means like a single person, right? So I think he'd only get it before the first one, because after the first one, he's not a bachelor anymore.
They're getting married all at the same time, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it's the same wedding.
Oh, really?
It's not like he's not having 2 separate weddings, yeah.
That sucks for that girl.
Yeah. Well, it could be either.
Doesn't even get her own husband, or doesn't get her own husband, doesn't get her own wedding day. If there's one thing I know about girls, I don't know a lot about girls, but that's probably not like real cool with them.
We're getting really off track from sports, but I have another question. It's a medical question. If he has sex with both of them on the same night, and they both get pregnant and give birth on the same day, are those kids twins?
No.
Okay, but like technically?
No, they didn't share the same womb.
No.
And they were womb mates.
Oh, yes.
Wait, so I just found out Ronaldinho doesn't even play any soccer anymore.
Yeah.
He ass now. He's
old,
ass.
dude.
And Belgium's going to beat Brazil next round.
Don't you talk about Brazil that way.
Ronaldinho's
You've been a fan for all of, 20 minutes?
My bad. I just prefer waffles to sand.
Got your ass.
Well, we'll stay on the topic of old soccer players and talk about Diego Maradona. Gave the old double bird to the Nigerian haters out there. Really, they needed to win. I forget what the country's called. It starts with an A, and it's Argentina. They needed to win to move on to the next round, or Messi's legacy would be tainted forever.
And you know what's... I don't know what Argentina's problem is.
Messi's garbage, bro.
They have some of the best talent in the world, and for some reason they just suck. Like, playing together, they're just awful. Like...
Because Messi is like the
kind of like the
of
Oklahoma
soccer.
City
You know,
Thunder.
he's just a bad teammate.
Yeah, Kieran's right. They're like the Thunder of soccer. And Messi...
Lightning and the thunder.
I know Messi scored in that game, but the game-winning goal... I forget who got the assist. Marcos Rojo scored it, though. And I saw a headline, Messi leads Argentina into next round after last-minute goal. Then you read the article, it's like, last-minute goal scored by Marcos Rojo. And it's like, well, Messi didn't really lead him there then. But, that goal did pretty much save his entire reputation, because if they went out in the group stage, this is already a guy who can't even win the South American tournaments, let alone the entire World Cup. Like Maradona who's chasing for his.
It's like how Warriors fans, like Steph Curry will always be the guy on the Warriors, even though Kevin Durant is probably a better basketball player than him and is outperforming him. So when Kevin Durant puts up an incredible game to advance them farther in the playoffs, they'll still say Steph Curry leads the Warriors to another championship because it's never going to be KD's team, no matter how bad how good he plays.
Right, that's just how it is. And so, I bet Neymar will get a bulk of the credit for leading Brazil.
Oh, yeah.
And they're winning the group. And actually, cool stat about Brazil for Tucker. In every World Cup since I've been alive, Brazil has never lost a group stage game. They're 12-0 and they have 3 draws. So
they still have Thiago Silva, right?
Yeah, he's the one who scored the header goal to give them their second goal against Serbia.
Yeah, I knew that.
Yeah. He's a beast. He's probably their second best player, I'd say.
I might be on board with KB, and I may have to get this new FIFA game, just because I'm starting to get into the World Cup. And, I'll get into soccer, just like club soccer after the World Cup gets over, for just a little bit, like a little World Cup hangover,
Mm-hmm.
I'll still want to watch some little
That's going to be your
soccer.
new fad. Soccer is your new fad.
I get this
going-
FIFA game. I'm 100%. I kind of got back in to West Ham towards the end of the season. I'm sorry, Tucker, but when I get this new FIFA game, I'm gonna be 100% in EPL. I'm gonna talk to Toby about it. That's pretty much all I'm gonna do. Maybe watch a game, but yeah,
I
I'm
did
all
see
in.
that Thiago Silva plays for PSG, so that's my team now.
All right, I hope you can stream French games.
Can you?
Yeah.
I'm sure you can. It's just easy being a fan of an English team because they're on NBC all the time.
Yeah.
But we're definitely going to Sporting KC's playoff games because everybody just gets hammered in the parking lot, and you can just bum tickets off people who are too drunk to go into games.
Neymar's on PSG too.
Yep, Neymar's on PSG as well.
All right, fine. And Ronaldinho used to play for PSG, so it's destiny.
Yeah, this is fate.
Who was Pele's club team? Just Brazil?
I don't know.
That's a good question.
I'll look
No
it
one
up.
cares.
All right, but while I look up... Hey, don't talk about Pele like that. And while I look up Pele's club team, why don't you guys talk about how Japan made it because they play fair?
I'm not a huge fan of this rule because if you have a more strict ref in one game who's like willing to give out more cards, then because you have a dickhead ref, you might be out of the World Cup. Which, like, I don't know any other way to do a tiebreaker because you're not going to go out and have them play another game. But like, I don't know. Something about that rule just rubs me the wrong way, especially since it's dumb Japan advancing. Because Senegal would have been way more fun to watch. I cheer for Godzilla in those movies. I cheer for I cheer for Godzilla. Like, that's my man. Belgium's basically the Godzilla of this World Cup now, because they will be the ones who knock Japan out, and the ones who knock Germany out.
So I found who Pele played for.
Flamengo.
Let us know.
Yeah, Santos, near Sao Paulo. Santos FC. And then he played for the New York Cosmos in the North American Soccer League for the 1975 season.
Wow. I did not know that.
Wow.
So Pele is the best soccer player in America.
David Beckham is here currently.
I'm guessing you're forgetting about Landon Donovan in Maryville 2015 Male Athlete of the Year, Joe Sukon.
Joey Sukes.
DJ Joe Loco.
We're going to have to tweet at him when we tweet out this episode because we gave him a shout out.
Mm-hmm.
Then we compared him to Pele and Landon Donovan.
I'm pretty sure Shane threw in David Beckham too.
Yeah,
They did throw it to Beckham.
He's currently in America.
I think he's English.
1975.
He's retired. Yeah, he was on England back in the day.
I had this friend in high school who would get so uncontrollably pissed at me when I adamantly told him that Landon Donovan was the best player in the world. And he's like, no. And I'm like, tell me, like, prove to me he isn't. And he's like, here are the stats. And I'm like, stats don't tell the whole story.
Don't come at me with your facts.
Dude,
just because you're accurate doesn't mean you're interesting.
he was probably just a Clint Dempsey guy, I bet.
No, he was a big Liverpool fan.
Wayne Rooney.
I think he's a Messi guy.
Boo!
Hey, did you see that Wayne Rooney signed with DC United?
I did. We'll probably have to go to that. I don't know if you guys have seen the video of the little kid that sees Wayne Rooney. It's just, he can't believe that Wayne Rooney's standing next to him. But it's a pretty funny video. It's this little fat kid. And it's like he saw like a triple cheeseburger in front of him that he didn't have to pay for. He was so excited.
Fat Lives
Bro,
Matter.
what if this kid is listening right now?
Fat Lives Matter.
Shout out, go England.
All right.
We'll go ahead and take a break right here and have our interview with Dirk Chatelain of the Omaha World-Herald. We talk about College World Series a little bit. After the interview, we'll talk a little bit more about the College World Series, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about. NBA offseason and the NFL. So here he is, Dirk Chatelain. I'm here with Dirk Chatelain of the Omaha World-Herald. How are you doing today, Dirk?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I can't complain. Having a pretty good day. College World Series we're having a great final series right now, and I think I saw something that you wrote for the World-Herald about how this is the 19th straight time there hasn't been a number one seed win the championship.
That's right. It's sort of a bizarre streak here in Omaha, where it's you're kind of cursed if you come here as the number one national seed.
Yeah, and the Florida this year, they have a team with great talent. I talk a lot about how they're basically the Kansas City Royals now because the Royals drafted two of their top three guys. What did you think about that Florida team this year?
Well, their pitching staff was phenomenal, and it was a little surprising that Brady Singer got beat twice up here because he was arguably one of the top two or three pitchers in the whole country this season. So from that standpoint, it was a little strange, but that's kind of how it works up here in Omaha. I mean, it's a lot of times, the team that you think is gonna kind of roll through a bracket or come out on top, might even go 0-2. So it's very, very unpredictable, and that's sort of proven itself to be true every single year.
And I personally, I think these are probably the two best teams that came to Omaha in the finals right now.
Well, I think the way they're playing for sure, and Arkansas, they've been outstanding up here. Oregon State has just been, really a juggernaut for 2 years now, with kind of a single blip over about a 48-hour stretch, 24-hour stretch here in Omaha last year. They might have gone down as one of the best teams in college baseball history had they been able to finish that off in Omaha last year. So two really, really good teams. And, it's been a great series. I mean, especially this championship series. You can't ask for much more than this.
Definitely, I was watching, obviously I follow all from the conference series, SEC conference. Arkansas played really well, didn't end up getting the championship. I believe they got to the semifinals or before. They lost to LSU, I think.
Yeah, they have a hard time beating LSU for some reason.
Yeah, well, a lot of people do have a hard time beating LSU. LSU's always been that program that goes to Omaha a lot of the times.
They are, and our LSU is probably the most prominent program outside of the local fans. LSU is probably the fan favorite up here, just because they've been here so many times, and they bring a lot of people whether their team is here or not. So LSU, people always love to see LSU up here, but I think Arkansas's fan base has sort of been overwhelming. How enthusiastic they've been, how devoted they've been. This is one of the best fan bases that I can remember in 15 years covering the College World Series.
Now I went to the opening weekend of the College World Series, Saturday and Sunday, and I saw the Arkansas-Texas game, and that is probably the most Arkansas fans I've ever seen at an away game.
Well, I think for sure, partly just because of the capacity of the stadium. You can fit so many more of them in here, and even the general admission line for almost every Arkansas game is starts at 6, 7, 8 hours before first pitch, and it's 2 blocks long. I pulled up to the stadium the other night, and Arkansas fans, it was 90% Arkansas fans were lined up in the general admission line outside of the stadium, almost the way you would be outside of a bar that's full, waiting for people to leave so they could get in. Well, obviously the people inside are not going to leave, so these people are lined up for Lord knows how many hours, and they're not going to make it into the stadium, and they're still lined up. So just a really, really devoted fan base.
Now, how long have you been covering the College World Series?
I've been doing it since 2003.
Okay, so Rosenblatt was still up, correct?
Correct. The last year of Rosenblatt was 2010.
Okay, so which stadium did you like better to watch a baseball game in?
I liked Rosenblatt better. It had more character, more tradition, more history, all that stuff. It was just a little bit more unique. The downtown works really well for amenities and places to eat and things like that. But it was really hard to beat sort of the character of Rosenblatt Stadium. I mean, it was a 60-year-old stadium that sat up on a big hill over the interstate. You could see it, a mile away. It was a really, really cool place. And I think, the CWS is only getting bigger, partly because of ESPN. But I think a lot of people here and elsewhere still miss Rosenblatt Stadium.
Yeah, and I went around to the tailgate lot they have out there by the Century League Center and talked to some local Omaha people who just come for the tailgating, and they said that's really what they miss about Rosenblatt is like the tailgating and the close atmosphere of it all.
Absolutely. There was just it was more of a neighborhood feel too, because downtown it's mostly parking lots, which is good, but even better, sort of more unique, was people sitting, camping out and hanging out and parking in people's yards and stuff like that. So it had more of a neighborhood feel that you don't get in very many ballparks.
Now, you mentioned earlier you've been covering since 2003. What are one of those fan bases that you get really excited when their team makes College World Series that they're going to be there?
Well, most of them are SEC fan bases, to be honest.
Yeah.
With almost without exception, I would say, probably of the 10 best traveling fan bases or most fervent fan bases to the College World Series, I would say 8 or 9 of them are SEC schools. So, it's Texas would be an exception. Most of the West Coast schools don't travel real well. Oregon State's been better than most. I mean, they've got a great tradition there, and baseball is really big in Corvallis. So they've traveled well, but it's usually LSU, Mississippi State, Arkansas, South Carolina was great.
Yeah.
Georgia was good. Clemson's really good too. Not an SEC school, but they travel well too. So, it's no secret that college baseball is really, really big in the South and specifically the SEC.
Yeah, the SEC had some really good teams this year. I think the reason that they didn't have so many teams in Omaha was because they all had to play each other.
Yeah, you had 3 super regionals that matched SEC teams, which is a little bit unfortunate for them. On the other hand, Ole Miss gets beat, and that's a team that easily could have made it to Omaha.
Mm-hmm.
You would have expected to make it to Omaha. So the SEC was very well represented. They always are. They've averaged about 3 teams per CWS over the last decade or so, and I don't see any reason why that would change in the future.
Now, looking at the series going on right now, Oregon State, Arkansas, the championship series, had a crazy ending to the Game 2 final where Arkansas was 1 out away and the ball just dropped in foul territory.
Well, and that's, I'm sure the Major League Baseball purists would look at that and say, this is why, college baseball isn't worth watching because they don't make fundamental plays. But I would look at it, a different way, which is, you put 21-year-old kids under that kind of pressure, and it adds a level of unpredictability that I think is really entertaining, in fact. So, it's hard to simulate a moment like that when you're 1 out away from a national championship and you got three guys running to a ball down the first base line. You can practice that stuff over and over, but in that moment, in front of that kind of crowd, it's pretty tough to communicate and make that play.
Yeah. Now, who do you think has been the better team this series? I know Oregon State kind of got a little bit of a break. The first game, Arkansas beat them 4-1. Who do you think has overall played the best?
Well, you're right. Oregon State was just kind of the victim of one bad inning in Game 1.
Mm-hmm.
But I think overall Arkansas has been a little bit better. Oregon State's lineup is really tough to handle, and Arkansas's pitching staff has done a pretty good job. Aside from obviously the home run in Game 2 was a big moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Arkansas should feel like they've played good enough to win a national championship so far. They don't have to do anything extraordinary to win Game 3.
Now, the talent on these two teams is pretty wild, too. I think Arkansas had 11 people drafted. Oregon State had 6 or something like that, maybe 9. But the talent on these two teams is something that you don't see a lot of the times.
That's exactly right. And one of those guys who wasn't drafted was Luke Heimlich, who was arguably the best player on either team. So
Mm-hmm.
Oregon State is absolutely loaded, and which is interesting. They're in Corvallis, Oregon. You wouldn't think that they would be able to recruit the way they do, but they've assembled a lineup, especially a batting order, of guys who I think are going to be major leaguers.
Now, I just want to touch on that Luke Heimlich situation here. The Royals talked about signing him. What do you think about that whole situation with him?
Well, it's really, really difficult, I think, to evaluate because not only because of the sensitive nature of the crime, but also because, 5 years, what is it now? 7 years later, he maintains his innocence. So it's a really, there's family dynamics in play. There's siblings who aren't talking to each other. There's a divorce involved. It is a really, really messy situation, and I think it's hard to evaluate from the outside. It's especially hard when you consider the public relations situation that major league teams have to assess before they sign Luke Heimlich. And I know Dayton Moore has been outspoken about it, or at least more outspoken than most of his peers. But I think it's going to be really tough for a franchise to sign Heimlich, at least here in the next few months. My hunch is he's going to have to go a different route if he wants to keep playing baseball.
Mm-hmm. I think I agree with you on that one. I've kind of been mulling it over because I myself am a Royals fan. And in Kansas City, we're known for giving people second chances. You look at Tyreek Hill for the Kansas City Chiefs, gave him a second chance there, and it worked out. It really just depends on how successful he's going to be. I did notice this year, though, he hasn't pitched very well in Omaha.
That's right. He's had 3 outings, and he struggled in all 3 of them. He looked really sharp in Game 1 of the championship series, and then he had one bad inning that knocked him out. So not sure the reason for that. Typically a player of his caliber would come in and have more success in what is generally known as a pitcher's ballpark. Mm-hmm. But Heimlich has not responded very well to Omaha this year.
Now, before we end the interview here, MLB had some news that they're going to bring actually a game to TD Ameritrade Park. What do you think about that movement there?
Well, I think any increased relationship between MLB and college baseball is a real benefit for the college kids. I think what college baseball lacks is a little bit of credibility and a little bit of exposure, and I think MLB can give them both of those things. Having the draft here would really help. They're going to have a major league game here, I think, every year from now on, which is going to help. So more college kids are going early in the draft than ever. Organizations really believe in the college kids now over the high school kids. Not exclusively, but just at a greater rate than they used to. And so I think when you watch a kid at the College World Series, there's a pretty good chance he's going to be in the majors in 2 or 3 years. That should appeal to Major League Baseball fans. So I think it's a good thing for the CWS. It's a good thing for college baseball, and it's obviously good for Omaha too.
Yeah, you said college kids are most likely going to come up to the majors faster. One that really that reminded me of was Brandon Finnegan when he pitched for the Royals in the World Series, and he pitched for TCU in the College World Series.
He did. It's and every once in a while you'll get a kid that makes that jump just over the course of those 3 months. Not always to the World Series, but
right.
Oftentimes it's making a major league roster later in the year, or certainly the next year. So there was a day when you watched college baseball and you kind of expected not to see these guys for 4 or 5 years, but players are coming up and advancing through the minor leagues faster than they used to.
And what do you think about the position in the season where the draft is? I know the draft is kind of at a weird spot for the MLB and really college baseball because you have kids getting drafted before they're even done playing for their college team.
Well, that's an example of an issue I think that the two sides need to work together more, where they can align that draft where it's at a less stressful time for college players, for the prospects, because oftentimes you'll have a kid get drafted while he's playing a regional game, and it's kind of a messy situation. It's been like that for decades now. You'll have a top 5 pick who gets drafted while he's pitching a game, a postseason baseball game. So you got to kind of feel for the kids who are going through that. You'd like to see college baseball and MLB work a little bit harder to take some of the stress off of those kids.
I'm with you. Well, Dirk, thanks for coming on and talking a little bit of baseball with me.
Hey, thanks, Tucker. Thanks for having me.
Big thanks to Dirk for coming on the podcast, talking some CWS with us. Oregon State ended up winning the College World Series game 3-5-0, and I am upset.
Same.
Because the SEC is the best conference in everything, and they should have the best baseball team, but the way that the regional system was set up, SEC teams all had to play each other.
I just don't like that Chester the Molester got to win a championship.
I thought his name was
you
Luke.
mean Luke Heimlich?
Yeah, but that doesn't rhyme with molester.
Yeah,
Too
you're
bad.
right.
Too bad. Better team won. Honestly, probably the best team that was there won.
By far the better team. I texted Toby last night. Arkansas, first off, got lucky with that first win. If they don't win game one, Oregon State wins them too, because they do not have just the depth or they don't have the gas to go 3 games and win. So they gave up the series last night when they dropped that easy pop out, like foul right by first base. First off, what the fuck was Shaddy doing running all the way over there? Why even involve yourself in that? He completely blew the series.
That's a second baseman.
It's his ball, yeah.
That's the second baseman.
How was that his ball?
Because
He's
he has a
got the
better
best
angle.
on it.
Out
Yeah,
of
he's got the
all the
best
people
angle.
who were coming in on it, that's the second baseman's ball.
You know
He's not running. He's running to it. He's facing it the whole way. He's got no people in his way. See, when the first baseman's running, he's kind of running at a backwards angle, and the right fielder he's running right at like 2 people. So the second baseman's got the best angle on it, just flat out overran it.
Yep.
He's probably
Don't
calling
come at
it
me
the
with
whole
your
way,
facts.
too. He's probably calling it the whole way too. So that's why the first baseman kind of bailed and the right fielder stopped, because the second baseman's probably calling that the whole way.
He
And then
still blew it, and I'm pissed because
Well-
now the molester wins.
nobody wanted that more than he did, and they kept talking about it during the series that he was from Arkansas. He was a walk-on who got the chance. He was a senior. He was going out, and that was going to be like his crowning moment, was him going over and making the final out. But yeah, like in game one,
You gotta
like
make
said,
that catch.
Well, I agree. That has to be a play that's made. But I still think in game one, that was more Oregon State completely giving the game to Arkansas.
That's what I'm saying. They got
I
lucky.
think Arkansas scored their 4 runs
In one
were
inning.
on a wild pitch, walk, hit batsman, hit. And Oregon State had runs taken off the board due to a missed fair foul call that they went back and reversed. Because he probably would have scored from first. That other guy would have been standing on 2. Instead, it was first and third, 2 outs. The interference call with no outs, runner on third and first, interference call, that was quite simply by rule, I guess you could call it. But, in the spirit of the game, he didn't do anything to interfere with the play. At that point, it should have been 4-2. And the game would have completely changed. They got a lot of lucky breaks in that first game. When Oregon State got their lucky break, they capitalized big time. It was pretty obvious just watching today and even watching game 2 that Oregon State's lineup was just far superior.
That's
There's
what I'm
just
saying.
so much more talent. The arms that Oregon State were able to throw, and they didn't even pitch well. Femmel pitched poorly. Heimlich pitched poorly the entire College World Series. And then they had a freshman, Kevin Abel, come in, win 4 games, threw a complete game shutout to win game 3. Like, it was just apparent that Oregon State was the best team there. I felt like going in and now going away.
That's what I'm
Clearly
saying,
the
though.
best team in college baseball.
Oregon State, hats off to the rest of the team because they're an incredibly talented team. They deserve that victory. But if you're Arkansas, you have to know, all right, these guys are super talented. They have a ridiculous amount of offense. If they're going to blow game 1 the way they did, we have to win game 2 because we have just enough talent to get one real win out of this series. We didn't really have to use it game 1 because they blew it. We have to use that talent, win game 2, leave everything you got out there, and then you're World Series champions. That's the only way they win. And then they blew it.
And I'm not sure if any of you guys get to watch tonight the game?
Yeah, I watched.
So yesterday, it seemed like the stadium was completely full, all Arkansas fans. Today, there seemed to be a lot of Beaver fans there. And I'm not sure if all of the energy was sucked out of the Arkansas team last night, but the fans didn't have it today, the same energy that they brought the entire College World Series. the team didn't have any sort of energy today. Like, they were up there swinging at just junk against Abel. Like,
it really felt like you said, like the energy just got sucked out of the stadium.
Yeah, and a good team will do that to you. And but that's also an Arkansas team who is extremely young. I think, Martin, Kerstad, and Fletcher are all true freshmen.
Yep.
So they'll be there at least 2 more years. Like, they're going to be set up well for a long time. So I think those guys are going to handle the loss a lot better than a guy like Eric Cole or a guy like Carson Shaddy will.
Mm-hmm.
I think you guys are selling Arkansas way too short. I think you guys think Arkansas is a lot worse than they really are. Arkansas is a really good baseball team.
I think
they're far inferior to Oregon State.
I'm more favoring Oregon State's talent than shitting on Arkansas, because Oregon State was a far better team than Arkansas was. You can't deny that.
Well, I mean, let the MLB draft decide that. The Arkansas had more guys picked in the draft than Oregon State did.
Oregon State had more first-rounders, though.
Oregon State's freshman and sophomore, they had a freshman. Oregon State had a freshman throw a complete game shutout in the clinching game. Their sophomore hit over 500 in the College World Series, had 13 RBIs, won the most outstanding player. So you look at the draft, Oregon State also had 3 guys drafted in this year's first round. Top to bottom, Oregon State was just better than Arkansas. I think if you just watched the games, to argue Arkansas would be pretty. I just don't think you can make a case for them. It is. Like, Oregon State, just top to bottom, was a superior team. And they did that all without their leadoff hitter, their starting center fielder, Stephen Kwan, who was hitting 367 or whatever he was hitting on the season, 357, something like that. So even with, some guys out, some guys
wasn't one of their guys
what's up?
Wasn't one of their guys batting over 400 in the series?
Oh, in the series, Rutschman batted over, I think it was 560 for the College World Series. He was hitting over 400 for the year. He had, I think he ended up with a 407 average or something for the season. I don't see how you can argue against the Oregon State lineup, who was better than every other lineup throughout the entire College World Series. Essentially, every team throughout the whole season, they were just the best team. It's no slight to Arkansas, who's a talented team, but Oregon State's just that much better.
I think that Arkansas will have more sustained success over a longer period of time than Oregon State will.
Yeah, they're a younger team for sure, and a lot of their younger guys are incredibly talented. But this Oregon State team, this roster, was better than the Arkansas roster this year.
I still think we're reaching. The 2 best players for Oregon State the entire College World Series are going to be back next year. This is a team who, under Pat Casey, has been consistent every single season. They won 110 games the last 2 years. They won the 06-07 national championship back-to-back. This is a powerhouse baseball program, and Arkansas is going to be good. But what Oregon State's done, especially playing where they are, they don't get all the great recruits that get to play baseball year-round like they do in the South. What they did in the Pacific Northwest is nothing short of incredible, and their team is going to be good a long time. I think that in the near future, Arkansas is going to be set up just as well, if not better, than Oregon State, because they have absolute. There's no roster overhaul really from that lineup. They're going to bring back a ton of really, really talented underclassmen, but Oregon State's going to be good for a long time. We'll be seeing them in a lot of NCAA tournaments, hosting regionals, probably making it to Omaha a few more times. So I think both teams are set up for a ton of success in the future.
I just think it's wild. Do you think that they were just completely outmatched, even though they won 1 game against them?
They were outmatched. I mean,
I'm shocked.
If it goes 3 games, there's not an outmatch. This are the 2 best teams in this College World Series, and they met in the finals. Granted, the team with probably more talent on it, a higher up talent in the MLB, won, but Arkansas was the hottest team going into this. You can't slight Arkansas at all like you're doing.
We're not slighting Arkansas. We're saying Oregon State was that impressive. They beat the hottest team going into the series.
Arkansas had 2 hits tonight. Freshman pitcher from Oregon State. Arkansas had 2 hits. I mean, it's not a slight. That's a tremendous pitching job by Oregon State, who had the better lineup top to bottom, and that's pretty much just how it goes. Arkansas is obviously a good team. Oregon State is just a better team.
So let's go ahead and talk about this NBA off-season. Draft has already happened. I wrote a blog about how LeBron should have gotten the MVP. I hope that everybody agrees with that, because if you don't, you're wrong.
Yep.
And, off-season, free agency is starting up here on Sunday, July 1, my birthday. Not a big deal. LeBron is the big free agent to go, but there'll be a lot of pieces that need to fall before LeBron goes, I believe.
Yeah, I think he's going to be the last domino to fall into place during this free agency.
Yeah, LeBron. Oh, by the way, happy birthday, Tuck.
Thanks.
But LeBron James, if you guys think about it, his decision to come back to Cleveland didn't happen until like around July 9th, 10th, 11th. And like when his decision came out, it was like around the 5th, 6th, 7th. Like he lets everybody else, like all the initial like frenzy of free agency, like go away, so his signing can stand alone in itself. Plus, like you guys have said, a lot of pieces need to fall into place. I saw today reports that from what's the guy's name? Woj. I saw reports from him that LeBron James texted Kevin Durant about possibly teaming up in Los Angeles. I saw reports that like wherever Kawhi, like if Kawhi goes to the Celtics or to the Lakers, that would basically clinch for LeBron going there. And Paul George probably isn't going to go. I think Paul George knows that him alone can't win a championship, so he'll probably go somewhere where he knows he's teaming up with another superstar. So there's a lot of... I'm willing to bet that LeBron James won't do anything until probably July 10th.
This is kind of what I'm thinking with all that. This is scaring the hell out of me as a Celtics fan, but to me it feels like right now that Kawhi, KD, and LeBron are all going to end up in LA, which I will not be able to stand the Lakers being good again. I hate when they're good. And I think Paul George might go to Golden State if KD leaves, because like you said, he's not winning a championship on his own, and that's just like a ticket to the NBA Finals. So I'm pissed. I'm not looking forward to any of these moves being made, unless Kawhi somehow goes to Boston, which there's been a little bit of chatter about.
Yeah, they said that the Spurs GM was talking about how he wanted to move Kawhi like to the East, which is understandable. You trade a guy in conference, you don't want to see him multiple times a year. So trade Kawhi to the East, and the Celtics have really been the team to show the most like leverage in that situation. But would that make you guys nervous? Because that would be like if you guys had Kawhi, Kyrie, and Gordon. There have been rumors that like Kawhi is looking forward to move next year in free agency, and Kawhi is saying he's going to end up in LA next free agency anyway. So this would be like your guys' one real big push for another championship.
We don't want it.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
Because it's high risk. So you're going to have to trade somebody. You're going to have to trade. I heard that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, they've kept out of all the trade discussions. Now, I mean, we'd have to get rid of Hayward or Irving, probably. One of those two guys. Well, we get rid of Kyrie Irving. Terry Rozier played fantastic throughout the playoffs. I don't know if he's a, NBA Finals point guard, like a point guard that will take you there. We would lose Gordon Hayward, if that's the other case, who is younger than Kawhi Leonard and is probably more committed to the Celtics long term. So when our young guys actually start to develop into the players that they're going to be for the rest of their careers, not just like starting out flashes in the pan, but when they hit their prime, we're not going to have Kawhi or Hayward there, and potentially not even Kyrie, because he's been talking about leaving. So it's really high risk. If you don't win the NBA championship, you've just compromised the future of your organization. So I think if he's going to go to LA, hell, I say just go to LA anyway. Now, I was reading something super interesting, though, and I don't think it was by anybody who's like an actual like NBA analyst or anything, but he was talking about the Spurs don't want to send Kawhi somewhere in the Western Conference. The Detroit Pistons just hired Dwayne Casey as head coach. They have Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond in place. The Spurs' asking price, if Kawhi is truly unhappy at San Antonio, might not be high enough that the Pistons would have to send Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond, or Blake Griffin or Andre Drummond, to the Spurs. They could send him like a Reggie Jackson and a Stanley Johnson and a draft pick, and they could get Kawhi Leonard. And if Kawhi Leonard goes there, LeBron might not have to go to the Western Conference. You've got Kawhi, Blake Griffin, Andre Drummond all on one team in Detroit playing with a head coach who's won an NBA championship, not as a head coach, but as an assistant on that 2011 Mavericks team that LeBron has said turned him into the player he is today. So, like, I think that when you can throw out a wild possibility like that and have it correlate and make sense, we really have no idea what's going to happen right now. And I think Kawhi is going to be the first piece that goes, and after that we'll start to get some clarity about all the other free agents.
Yeah, I agree with you on the potential of like Kawhi moving to Boston. I think it's a terrible move for the Boston of the future, and Danny Ainge is a very big future guy. You know, he's really good at building the team for the future, not necessarily for right this second. So I don't think Danny Ainge will make that move and risk all the work he's already put into the team.
Who do you guys think? Because there's the teams that are obviously going to make a big splash this offseason, the Lakers, maybe the 76ers. But who do you guys think is kind of an underdog? Because for me, I think the Dallas Mavericks are in a pretty good position to kind of make a run. DeAndre Jordan, Mark Cuban is still infatuated with him, and there's no Blake Griffin or anybody there to kind of keep him in LA. And they got what's the guy's name? Smith, their point guard.
Dennis Smith, Luka Doncic.
He performed really well last year. Luka Doncic, if he lives up to all the hype, I don't think he's going to be the superstar that everybody thinks he will be. But if he puts up even a fraction of the stats that he was able to put up in the European League, I think he could really lift this Mavericks team. I think they're kind of a sleeper in terms of free agency. I think they can make a pretty big couple big moves.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think there's a lot of teams that are kind of shaping up for competition down the road. You know, there's obviously the headline free agents out there, which are the three small forwards, Kawhi, Paul George, and LeBron James. But I think as the NBA offseason sort of shifts, we're kind of going to see some of these teams who have not made any moves making more moves to try to improve because they have their pieces in place now. Like the Phoenix Suns, for example, now have Devin Booker, Josh Jackson, DeAndre Ayton all on one team. The Phoenix Suns feel like a team that are like a move or two away from competing for a playoff spot. Like with all the talent that they've accumulated, it feels like there's just some teams out there. I think the New Orleans Pelicans are going to have an interesting offseason too. That's a team that probably played the Warriors tougher than anybody besides the Rockets in the postseason. And I mean, they've got work to do with DeMarcus Cousins because they played better without him. So they're going to be a key cog. If DeMarcus Cousins ends up going somewhere else, the Pelicans let him walk or trade him or something. There's a lot of small market NBA teams that could really muck up the whole free agency process. And the NBA free agency process is just a huge clusterfuck that happens over the course of about 10, 12 days. But it will be exciting this year, and I think a lot of these marginal NBA teams or these fringe playoff lottery NBA teams will see growth because of moves they make.
What really sucks is that this NBA free agency is going to overshadow what we're all looking forward to, which is the NHL free agency, which I think doesn't it start on the same day?
July 1st, yes.
July 1?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All the good stuff's going on July 1, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even Canada Day.
Wow. July 1st is going to be a very busy day for Tucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Sunday, too. So, embrace the debate here. What's the worst day to have your birthday on?
Like day of the week?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Day of the week? I thought you meant like number day.
Yeah.
No. Day of
I'm
the
gonna
week.
say
Tuesday?
I'm gonna say Sunday. No, because Tuesday you can usually get like a Taco Tuesday in or something, and that's pretty cool.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But Sunday, like, it's technically a weekend day, so you don't have to work, but you can't really go out and like celebrate because you know you have work the next day. So it's kind of like a tease, like, oh, I don't have to work today, so it's all day my birthday, but that means you got no one at work wishing you happy birthday, which is nice, or like no one at school or anything, you know. So you're just kind of at home doing nothing.
I'm going to go Monday, because Monday, Garfield's right. I hate Mondays. You know, just the fact that you got to go to work, listen to your coworkers say, like, happy birthday, and, you know, all that obnoxious stuff. They'll sing happy birthday to you, and you'll be caught in that awkward situation, like,
oh, I do not know what to do when people are singing happy birthday to me.
Like, what do I do while these strangers are singing happy birthday to me? And then, like, you can't really go out at night because you got work on Tuesday. So, yeah, I'm going to go Monday.
That's funny because my next two birthdays are on Sunday and Monday.
Well, that sucks.
But
it'll be all right.
Might as well not even have your birthday.
Oh.
Just move it.
Cancel.
So there were two big storylines that came out today. Well, within the last 24 hours. We're recording this on Thursday. If you listen to us, you know that we get this done late Thursday night. NFL, two storylines. Jameis Winston was suspended for the first 3 games of the season for violating the NFL's personal conduct policy. The second story was that the NFL has fined former Carolina Panthers owner Jerry Richardson $2.75 million following its investigation into sexual and racial misconduct in the workplace.
The craziest part about this whole Jameis Winston thing was I read his statement that he made on it, and that he said this was, quote-unquote, uncharacteristic behavior of him. This seems very on par with some past behavior of him vis-a-vis sexual assault in college.
Yeah, this seems very characteristic. Like,
this just seems like what he does.
You not behaving like this seems uncharacteristic for you, Jameis.
Yeah, he in that same statement, he said that he gave up alcohol, and I was like, that's uncharacteristic of Jameis Winston.
Yeah. I mean, he had to be on something when he ate that W. Who's he trying to motivate with that?
Like the kicker, I think. I don't know.
Things have been downhill since he ate it, so.
Yeah, true.
Because there's no more W's, because he ate them.
Yeah. It takes a while to pass through the digestive system.
Why do you want to eat a W anyway?
Yeah.
I don't know.
He's not the brightest crayon in the box, I think.
Florida State, man.
Apparently.
Like, yeah, there's just no rules that apply to anybody there.
Does anyone know what Jerry Richardson did, though? Because I have only seen that he, like, had, like, sexual and racial misconduct. I don't know what actually occurred.
Okay, it was...
He said something racial, too, about the whole protests.
Which
there
was
was something about Jeans Friday, where he, like, commented on the way he liked a few female employees looked on, like, in their jeans on, like, casual Friday, like Jeans Friday, or whatever.
How old white man thing.
How old is Jerry Richardson? Because I feel like once you hit a certain age, like, old white guys just kind of lose their filter and think they can say whatever they want, and they forget that, like, everyone is listening and looking for a story like this.
So
we were... Oh, Karen, you go.
Oh, no, you go. I was.
He's 81.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has lost his filter for a while now. You should not be able to be in the public eye after you turn 65, because old guys just lose their filter.
We talked about that in developmental psychology. Like, at a certain age, you kind of just, like, stop caring what people think about you. But if you're in the public eye, maybe you should care about what people think of you, you know?
You guys got any final thoughts?
I actually have 3 final thoughts.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, big spender over here. My first one is if anyone wants to donate just like a crap load of money to Toby and I so that we can stop working 70-hour weeks and we'll start recording First and 10 again. So you have 24 hours. Always under an ultimatum. Second, this may be the most technical difficulty-ridden episode we've ever had with Wi-Fi going out all over the place, so yikes. This is going to be a nightmare for post-pro. And then third, this is the real one I looked up today. Have you ever imagined a world with no hypothetical situations?
My final thought is Mason Ramsey released a new song today.
Ooh. Okay.
Drake just released his album as well. 2 albums, actually, in one.
Wow. 2 music legends releasing their albums on the same day. It doesn't get any better than that.
Oh, it does.
Sure doesn't.
It does.
Who said it does?
I did. Mason Ramsey has no talent. There, I said it.
Shane is a Mason Ramsey hater, and I don't understand why you can hate an 8-year-old
I
boy.
don't hate Mason Ramsey because he's doing exactly what I would do if I was him. I hate that everyone is pretending like he's talented when he's not. There are actual good singers out there who are not getting famous because they're not wearing ridiculous clothing and yodeling in a Walmart. You know.
Well, he doesn't want to be famous for the music. He just wants to be famous for loving you. So
shut up.
Mason Ramsey became famous ironically. People did not share that yodeling Walmart boy because they're like, look how cool this kid is.
Exactly.
They shared it because look at this kid yodeling in Walmart. And
Internet
then people
memes aren't supposed to last more than like 2 weeks, and this one's gone on far too long.
And then people are just like, you know what? While he's here, let's make him famous.
Yeah.
And now he's making money. But at least he's remembering where he came from. Did you see that he bought his friend that Xbox One and all those games?
No, I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. I don't hate the kid. He's
a class act.
All right. My final thought is when you buy a bigger bed, you have more bedroom, but you have less bedroom.
That's the like final thought, not a riddle.
That's like real eyes, real lies, real lies.
Yeah.
Tobes, what do you got?
Today, watching the College World Series final, Game 3, an Arkansas bench coach was ejected for arguing balls and strikes, and they had the umpire mic to stop it. Yelled at him again. He said, you know what? Goodbye. And just set him off. Didn't say another word. That's the way it should be done.
It wasn't...
Just, you know what? Goodbye.
It wasn't quite our asses in the jackpot, but it was up there.
Tucker,
it's so cordial.
Tucker, we're micing you up next time you umpire, and I want you to eject as many people as possible.
Start ejecting fans.
The second you get there, see a mom that you don't like, and you're like, you know what? Get. And then eject her kid, too.
Like that one Ken Murphy video. You know what, kid? Your dad's a chode.
Yeah.
Oh, and also, nothing but respect to future Royals catcher Adley Rutschman. He will be our number 1 overall pick next year, which we will probably get. And he's going to be a star in the future for the Royals. Go Adley Rutschman.
Well, what about future Royal Luke Heimlich?
Hey, you need a familiar face on the mound if you're going to come up and be an effective catcher right away.
Dayton Moore is infatuated with him.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That'll do it for this week's episode of Nosebleed Radio. I'm Tucker Franklin for the boys, KB, Kieran Brennan, Toby Todd, and Shane Miller. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at NosebleedSnow. Like us on Facebook at Nosebleed Knowledge. We'll see you later.